So you don't shun the devil with your rock and roll load. Knows that country music's gonna save your soul. The devil finds his groove in them rhythm and blues that send. It's gonna get you sun in the end.
Welcome back to the Speakeasy. I'm Sother Teague.
And I'm Greg Benson, and it is the last day of Curbside Dining Week here in New York City. If you missed it,
Yay.
That's okay. I kind of missed it too. Yeah, exactly. So this is, Sother, you've already preempted why I wanted to bring this up at the top of the show, because I have a lot of thoughts about Curbside Dining Week, which are more or less my thoughts on cars, which is, if you want to hear me go full Zoran, like I can, but I want to come to you first, because I remember during the pandemic, I came to visit Amori and Margot, and you had the parkade set up in front of the restaurant, and you were like, man, this has always been my vision for what this is, you know, like we had to operate out of that small space, but what I've always really wanted was to serve spritzes to people in the open air. So I'm going to put a quarter in the machine. What are your feelings on Curbside Dining Week NYC?
I mean, today's the last day. Good riddance. But that's just for me. And, you're describing the fact that I absolutely hated it, and the reason that I hated it was because that was never my vision. I didn't want to do that. I was kind of forced into it because of the situation that was at hand, and that's what I had to do to survive. And I'm certainly happy that I had an avenue to generate at least some revenue to keep the lights on and keep the place secure throughout that lean time. But for me, if I wanted to open that, then if I wanted to run that, then that's what I would have opened 14 years ago, not what I did open. So I think, I have a pretty biased opinion. Then fold into that, generally speaking, I don't like outdoor dining in New York at all. There's nothing about being, inches away from city traffic, passersby, panhandlers, the rain, whatever. I don't want to be outside in New York when I'm dining. So good riddance to Curbside Dining Week, which I didn't even know was a thing.
Yeah, Curbside Dining Week 2025. If by the time you're listening to it, it's already too late.
Yeah. You heard it here last.
Late breaking news. That's what we do here on the Speakeasy. I don't know. I feel like my feelings towards curbside dining can be kind of subbed up pretty adequately by one particular anecdote that happened in an establishment that I'm not going to name for reasons that are going to become apparent as I tell this story. But it is a place that I genuinely love. And what I'm about to say was not their fault. But I had some friends who were visiting from out of town, and we came there, and it was cold, but they gave us the opportunity to wait in that little, the parkade that they had, the thing that the semi-permanent structure that they built over a couple of the parking spaces in front of their restaurant. And they brought us some free beers, and we're sitting there and the sun's setting, and I'm right on the cusp of saying, boy, isn't it nice that we got this little silver lining out of the pandemic. We've taken some bits of our city back from these vehicles that do nothing except hit pedestrians and pollute. We've grabbed back some real estate that's ours, and now we can enjoy some of the best food in the world and some fresh air at the same time and look at the sights of the city. And right as those words are about to leave my lips, my friend who I'm with points to a corner of the structure we're in and goes, "Is that poop?"
I thought you were going to say, "Is that a rat?"
No. And to answer your question,
it was yes.
It was poop. So I think the parkades are one of these things that I personally love, where I'm like, I have to acknowledge that this is just kind of a pipe dream, that like I like the ideal of it, but it's never going to work in practice the way that I want it to. And I think it's time that we just kind of let it go.
Yeah. Theory over practice. It's proven out that it doesn't work. So
yes,
I say they should all go, but I understand that there are some businesses that open up with that express ideal in mind, and that's good for them, but it's not a place I patronize.
Nah. Well, speaking of places where outdoor dining does work very well, if you're in the desert and you're in a city that is famous for letting you carry cocktails from one establishment to another, I think that works very well. And joining us live from Las Vegas, Nevada, we have Mariena Mercer-Boarini. She is the master mixologist for Wynn Resorts North America. Mariena, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. It is great to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And sorry, my title is such a mouthful there. Hard to get out.
No, it's okay. That is honestly, like, I have two jobs on this podcast. That's one of them. So if I trip over it, that's kind of on me. That's not on you. Um, but I do kind of want to talk about your job title because it is master mixologist, and you kind of came into this role running mixology for Wynn Resorts in the entire continent of North America from the world of doing molecular mixology,
Mm-hmm.
which is, I think, it's an extremely impressive art. But when I think of the places that do it, I think of places like Booker and Dax, existing conditions. Shinji's is kind of like taken up that mantle here in New York City. Now, I think of very small, very intimate places. I do not think all of the eating and drinking establishments for a very major resort venue for an entire continent. So I would love to hear you talk a little bit about how you kind of do those magic tricks at scale. Like, what is it like to translate a lot of the more complicated moves that you have training in to something that is so big and, I imagine, an extremely complex beast to keep running?
Yeah.
Definitely. So at Wynn Las Vegas, I oversee over 40 menus right now. It's a bit of an ebb and a flow. I'm helping out with our projects in Boston as well, and I've done some of our things in our two properties out in Macao, which I realize is also not in North America. So it is this really massive scale that I feel really, really fortunate to be able to do, but really that's how my brain likes to operate. I love problem solving. I love having all of these tabs kind of oscillating through my brain, building new neural pathways and creating on this large scale. I've actually been creating for resorts longer than I even bartended. I've been doing it for over 15 years now. So this is really my secret sauce here. I was known for more molecular mixology about 15 years ago when it was just nascent and burgeoning and not many people were doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I opened up a resort in Las Vegas called the Cosmopolitan, and I had a bar called the Chandelier Bar, and we really made it this haven of really high level concepts, liquid nitrogen flourishes, and a lot of the stuff I was doing back then. I look back and that was so silly and so crazy. And I've definitely matured and learned from those kind of things. I had a liquid night, for instance, I had a liquid nitrogen ice cream shop on our pool deck, and the girls were wearing bikinis and lab coats and making some liquid nitrogen ice cream from alcohol, a la minute. And it was just this very, only in Las Vegas, crazy thing. But it was really fun for me because I got to do complex flavors out at a pool in Las Vegas. We were doing pear and Dolce Gorgonzola ice cream and these really, really fun concepts. And I think when you package it in a way that's exciting, people are open to your bigger ideas. So I think I've always been pretty good at that. But currently I oversee the Wynn, where I've matured and learned a lot in the last 15 years. And what you said about scale is exactly it. How do you scale these high level? There's a lot of hands in the pot as well, right? I have hundreds of bartenders that have to execute these ideas. So I've basically call my style these days multi-sensory experiences. I no longer have, the girls in lab coats and bikinis making liquid nitrogen ice cream.
That's sensory as well. But I want to pause you right there. I know you have more to say, and I want to hear it because I just want to interject. I was on the opening team at Booker and Dax, and we were a very small team in a very small bar, and a lot of what we did, even in those days, and this is now, when did we open? This is 13 years ago, 14 maybe. It was less than a year after Amore opened, I guess. But a lot of it was theater. I was known for getting behind the bar, and I would wear a lab coat, and I would have the safety goggles on the top of my head. I wasn't wearing a bikini. It was a thong. It was a thong. Banana.
Sorry, my mistake.
But the goggles on top of my head, and I would have a spinner going with just water in it. But every now and then I'd throw some LN in there, and I would drip some things in there, and people think I was making something, whatever. There is a theater aspect of it. And you said you've kind of matured from that. And I get that too. But I think that I'm not embarrassed by it. I thought it was fun and funny. Right. I was kind of trying to do that theatrical part in an effort to make the audience relax so that they could then enjoy these drinks that they don't really get to see us make. right? Because we kind of have to do all the work before they get there, right? I don't know. I think that's certainly like a part of it.
Definitely, I agree, and that's taking those high level ideas and making them digestible for the guest.
Right.
And just like we eat with our eyes, we certainly drink with our eyes. So when you can put them at ease and comfort with a little bit of theatrics, maybe they're going to try a spirit they've never tried, or a technique, or something that they're really going to get into the story. So yeah, I agree as well.
But then furthering with Greg's question, like, how do you scale that up? Like, we were in an intimate room that seated 30. How do you? I'm sure that you maybe have some small properties on the plantation there, but many of them are quite large.
Yes, many of them are quite large, and as I said, I have a lot of hands in the pot, so I have lots of different bartenders cycling through. So safety is always my first concern. I think that's where I've really matured in those years. But a lot of them is just doing piquing the senses in different ways. So it's not necessarily as flashy, but it still is interesting. So I have a line of terroir-driven perfumes. They're edible perfumes that we top some of our spritzes at our aperitif bar. And each one transports you. You have millions of olfactory receptors with thousands of taste buds. So when you have that beautiful perfume aroma on top, you're tasting in layers. So it's small little flourishes like that. It's I do something. One of my creations is called champagne. So it's a foam that I take rosé wine, rosé wine, strawberry rhubarb rose syrup, and then egg white. And instead of doing nitrous N2O in the canister, I actually do a CO2 charger in the canister. So it still it rapidly whips up that foam, but it actually carbonates within. So instead of the spritz, it's a more abstract spritz, right? It's not being topped with champagne. It's, champagne, because I love a good portmanteau as well. But it's these little edible flourishes that really tell stories. And so at the Wynn, and I know I'm talking a lot, so please interrupt me at any point.
This is radio. Talking is good.
Okay.
Talking is what makes it work.
All right, perfect. With the 40 different menus I do, the Wynn is a special place. We actually own most of our bars and restaurants, so it is almost like this Disneyland scale that we're not leasing out all these different restaurants and we have these different operators, and we're truly operating all of these different venues. And I absolutely love that, because I think where I got into molecular mixology, or just mixology in general, is I love storytelling. I love storytelling through cocktails. That's kind of my chosen medium. And at the Wynn, we have a Michelin-starred Chinese restaurant, Italian, supper club, Mediterranean. So each menu is an extreme collaboration with our team there. So we have our design team that's doing all the beautiful designs. So they're usually my first call, like, what are you doing in the room? And then I get with the chef and I talk about ingredients. And then I really just become very introspective and I study. So for our Michelin-starred Chinese restaurant, it was really studying Chinese art, theology, philosophy, obviously culture, ingredients. And then every cocktail is the story is told within the name, and then hopefully furthered with the ingredients to create this complete experience. And then again, some of those really cool different flourishes, but that's really more where I've leaned into in my old age these days.
Well, let's talk about that. Your mention of the Michelin-starred Chinese restaurant that you're running made me curious about something else I wanted to ask you, which is, it seems to me like the challenge when you're in charge of a large number of properties under the same umbrella is keeping a sort of consistent identity, but also letting each individual property breathe and find its own way in the world, right? Like, you want to have a consistent Wynn identity for the sake of the brand, but also, as we've been talking about, to benefit from the economies of scale. I'm sure there are some things you want to have on just about every menu so that you don't have to buy like one special piece of equipment. You can buy 40 of them and maybe get a bit of a bulk discount on that. But at the same time, you don't want to be you can't really run 40 different Michelin-starred Chinese restaurants. So what is sort of your guiding creative philosophy on splitting that baby in half between individuality and maintaining the Wynn brand?
So I absolutely agree. And I think that what is cohesive throughout all of the bars across property are really luxury, artistry, and these one-of-a-kind experiences. But at the same time, I don't like to be comfortable. I like to push and be a little bit crazy with things. So
Sure.
I wanted to have a pervert, because when I came on the property, there was a lot of that thread of having the same cocktails everywhere. And I shook all of that up and said, no, I want to create this amazing bar crawl. I want everyone to have their own identity, and it's going to make my job a whole lot harder. And we're going to have to figure out a lot of things, but our guest deserves that unique experience everywhere. And the thing is, like, I don't want them to leave the Wynn. The Wynn has so many incredible places. Let's make it where they really can appreciate that. So a little bit of that, but like I said, the thread is more just luxury ingredients, incredible glassware, and multi-sensory experiences everywhere you go.
I gotta love that. That is the one cruise I've ever been on. I don't know. Cruises aren't for me. I love boats, but I think for me, if I'm on a boat, I want to know that if the boat goes down, there's a chance that I could, one, potentially save it single-handedly, and two, that it could be my fault. And you don't really get that on a boat the size of a small city. But the other complaint I had about the one cruise that I went on is that there were, like, I don't know, 25 different bars, and they all serve the exact same goddamn thing. And I really appreciate that you're not doing that, but also, my God, that sounds like a lot of work.
It does sound like a lot of work, and I'd like to dig into that just a little bit. Like, can you give the listener a little bit of a insight on what does your day-to-day look like? I mean, are we throwing you a complete curveball by pulling you out of your day for an hour to talk to you?
So what I love about my job and what keeps me doing it for so long is that
the alcohol.
Right?
Oh, wait, that's my answer. Sorry.
I am just incredibly hyperactive, and people always, when they meet me, they're like, I love your energy. You're so calm. And I'm like, excuse me? Like, I have so much, but it's more like that duck kind of always paddling. I have so much energy that I just want to consistently do and create and push the envelope. So my day-to-day, what I love about it is every day is absolutely different. There's no 2 days that are the same. I have, 6 pairs of shoes in my office and different outfits and aprons. And I'm really just, I go about 10 miles a day across our properties. Our property's huge. It's
Get
all
those
underground.
steps in, man.
Exactly. Yeah. It's all underground in the basement is where I do most of my work and my running around. But I love it because every day is different. Sometimes we're opening new property or new venues, and sometimes we're revamping, or sometimes we're getting ready for this huge festival, like right now, where I have 19 events going on in the next week and a half. And so that's what I love, is that if every day was the same, I would be really bored.
Well, that does help explain why you are adding to your workload and running a festival that's coming up. So tell us a little bit about that. It's the what's the official name of it? It's the Wynn Festival Las Vegas. Am I butchering that entirely?
You're getting part of it right. Don't worry.
Okay. I'm like batting 300 in this episode. We're doing great.
It's a revelry festival that we're doing at Wynn Las Vegas. And so it's this, for me, it's 3 sections during the week. Last year, Las Vegas hosted World's 50 Best. And we did a revelry festival at the same time. And this year we're hosting North America's 50 Best Restaurants. So this festival starts out at the beginning of the week on Saturday, the 20th, where it's an immersive festival space, and the Wynn just has the most beautiful grounds. And we have all of these different areas that we're getting chefs from around the world to come in and cook, and our design team is so amazing that you really feel like you're in Mexico. And that we have the 4 Sixes, which is barbecue. I've got Thunderbolt LA coming in to do a really cool bar experience. We're excited for that. And then I've got, I think, 12 or 13 bars we're activating around the festival, so around 20-ish drinks for that. Earlier in the day, I'm doing a masterclass for a guest with Ian Somerhalder, who owns Brothers Bond Bourbon. Sorry, I'm butchering things as well. Where we will do a panel and talk through his bourbons, make cocktails. He's a really great guy, good friend of the Wynn. And that's just day one. We go into collab dinners and lunches all week. North America's 50 Best starts all of their parties and after parties and awards ceremony. I have bars like Happy Accidents coming in, Sip and Guzzle.
Hey, Kate Gerwin.
Yeah, she's a great friend. Sip and Guzzle, we're bringing in from New York to come and do a pop up. At Zero Bond, so it's 9 days. I think, like I said, I have 19 events of just the most amazing, incredible guest talent, cocktails, culinary. It's all the things.
Well, I mean, it sounds like this is a job that's right up your alley, right? Considering what we were just talking about designing all of these different experiences and crucially, fearing boredom worse than your own death.
Right.
But I imagine, running the Wynn properties and setting up a festival like this, it can't just be one to one, right? So I would love to hear a little bit about some of the ways in that it's different and some of the ways that this has maybe surprised you a little bit and some of the things that you've seen as you're setting up for what sounds like a pretty massive undertaking.
It definitely is. And so I feel fortunate that we have the infrastructure at Wynn to be able to host these kind of things. Also, I feel like I've been training for the marathon my whole career of kind of doing these things and keeping very nimble. One thing I wanted to share about is what makes the Wynn so special and my program so special is that we have what we call our beverage development kitchen or our test kitchen. So with these 40 different menus that I'm doing across the venue, I have a kitchen and I have a full-time staff who are making, again, the thread is like the luxury artistry. We're making all of these, our ingredients, our syrups, the champagne, the garnishes, a lot of the batches are going out. And so this kitchen that I run, we do 60,000 gallons of product a year coming out of this single space. Think of it almost like a commissary kitchen.
Wow.
It really, it's the gem of the property. And that's really where we can showcase some of our scale going out. The thing is, during this festival, that still operates as is. That doesn't go away. So we're adding in and layering in. So just yesterday, I was scouring the property with our chef team of like, I need that space, I need this corner, I need this table, I need that 50-pound CO2 tank. All these kind of things. So it's really been a few weeks of hunting and gathering and getting everything ready. And then the next few weeks is really, I think I lose a lot of sleep during the planning process, but when it's go time, that's show time. And that's really when I enjoy things.
Yeah. 60,000 gallons, 128 ounces in a gallon at a 3-ounce cocktail. That's over 2.5 million cocktails.
Just our Bloody Mary mix that we make, we did the math. It was over a metric ton every year of Bloody Mary. Like it's just
Wow.
It's such a massive scale. But I feel so fortunate that I have that support nowhere else. I don't know if anyone else in the world does something like that, but definitely nowhere else in Las Vegas. So it's what makes our program so special. And those kind of things, like you have to fight for. It's not something that, the Wynn appreciates what I do and what we do and gives me the reins to do that.
Say more about that. Say more about what fighting for that looks like. I mean, again, as we were talking about economies of scale, I would imagine selling more product is better than selling less product. And you've just described selling a hell of a lot of product, but what was some of the fighting about? What was some of the things that you were pushing for that you really, really had to work to get over the line?
So with the Wynn, it hasn't been such a fight because of their appreciation for artistry and their appreciation for running all of these different venues themselves. It's just these really high performance, excellence driven people that all kind of super group together. So it's not so hard at the Wynn, but in my past life at other resorts, I would start a beverage kitchen, and when they would start, counting the P&Ls and going down, well, why can't someone just make this syrup? Why can't you just buy this syrup? Let's just buy Bloody Mary. Let's get a co-packer, those kind of things. But the Wynn hasn't been such a fight because we do it in every corner of the property. Like if you guys ever come to Las Vegas, I'd love to host you and show you, but it really is like Disneyland. There's the bread shop that you smell, and we're making all these breads for all over the events. And then there's the chocolate shop with our pastry. Everyone's doing something really huge and really big.
I mean, I think when you get to that size, then you can not outsource. You can sort of like weirdly insource. The example that I have in my own life is when I was an instructor at the New England Culinary Institute. Every class from the day the students begin is serving actual live people. In their freshman term, they're serving other students, but then they're serving live action restaurants and bakeries, etc. But then what we did is we built the butchery class, is the class that's butchering all the things that's being sent down to all these outlets, and they send us orders, so they learn how to do the ordering, and like, so it's like it becomes all internal. I'm assuming that that's kind of what you're describing here with what's going on at the Wynn.
Absolutely.
Like,
We have an internal order. Okay.
like I would even further and even say, does the Wynn do its own butchery? Do you have like a butcher shop that just does butchery for all your restaurants?
We have butcher shop. We have
You have the bakery, yeah.
We have 2 warehouses on properties, so we actually warehouse a lot of our items. We have an ordering system just for us that's, wrecking from all of our kitchens and everything. So it's really something that I feel like I'm not the one fighting as much, but we're all fighting together, because it's a lot easier to go buy a syrup, right? It's a lot easier to go buy these things, but like we're
Nothing
fighting
cool
for the
is
quality.
easy. I say it all the time. Nothing cool is easy.
Let's get t-shirts.
Yeah.
T-Public, sponsor the show. I mean, it sounds like you've created like the infrastructure for a tiny city there, and I want to ask. I've never been to Vegas.
Closed loop.
Yeah, but Vegas strikes me as the sort of place where you could go to most other cities on the planet with an idea and be turned away with people saying that's insane. And you go to Vegas and you can find someone who says, I love it. Here's $50 million. Go make it happen. Is that the case? Am I reading Las Vegas correctly from my little coastal elite bubble here in Brooklyn?
I will say there's definitely a lot of dreamers for sure. And Las Vegas just likes to do things bigger, better. And I think for a long time in the culinary world, and certainly in the bar world, we were just considered, not great. So I think there's just such a scrappy fighter in all of us to really showcase what we can do and do it on a large scale. It was just, celebrity chefs were the only ones doing things for so many years. That there's a little bit of fight in us to do something bigger and better and get the credibility that I think we deserve.
Yeah.
Chips on shoulders, put chips in pockets, man.
I have a question regarding things we just talked about, sort of closing the loop. I'm sure at many of the outlets you're using big, beautiful, clear blocks of ice. Do you guys have a bunch of Klein bells of your own that you're harvesting and carving for yourselves?
So ice conversations have happened for many years now.
Well, we've been talking a lot about ice.
That's one of our concessions is I got a guy. I got a guy that does me some really great ice. And that's something that Las Vegas does really well. We've got a few companies. So, the logos, all of the different formats and things.
Right.
But that is something I outsource. Not many things that I outsource, but that is one.
Yeah. I'm curious. I mean, again, certainly that's a craft that you might want to leave to someone who's just specializing in that. But it seems like maybe down the road you could poach his apprentice and have him set up shop inside your place, and and then you have your own. Again, close that loop a little bit tighter.
If you're a serious cocktail geek, and I assume that if you like the show, you are, you'll probably know that when the cocktail was first defined, it was a specific combination of spirit, sugar, bitters, and water. And we tend to overlook that last ingredient, but we shouldn't, because if you think about it on a molecular level, that's most of what's in your cocktail glass. And if it's most of what you're drinking, you want to have the highest quality stuff, and you're not going to get that with cheap, crappy ice. The ice you want, if you're making a good cocktail, is going to be dense, it's going to be cold, and it is going to be perfectly clear. And you can get that with the Claris.
Yeah, the Claris is a home clear ice maker. It's about the size of a large toaster, sits on your counter, doesn't make any noise, and pumps out 4 about 2x2 cubes every 8 to 10 hours. If you're diligent and you run that thing twice a day, you can get 8 cubes a day, and by the end of the week, you've got 40 cubes ready for the weekend. They are hard, perfectly clear, beautiful, and kind of once you experience this ice, you never go back. Claris is the way to go, clearly. Listen, it sounds like you are not very busy. So why don't we talk about your 2 other endeavors that we know of by the notes here anyway. Talk to us a little bit about, because you're operating 40 menus at a time, plus this festival upcoming. Surely that leaves you plenty of time to do some consulting with your consulting company, Wanderlush. And then you have a product called Electric Dust. And I want to talk about both those things.
Yeah, definitely. So during everyone loves a good origin story, right? During my time at the Cosmopolitan, one of the cocktails I created there during the opening was called the Verbena cocktail. And the Verbena cocktail is the best-selling cocktail in Las Vegas by sales of all time. And here's the clincher. It's actually not on any menu. It was considered to be a word of mouth kind of very open secret at this point, right? But when I left, there was over $20 million associated just with that single cocktail. It's exponential now, obviously. It's been some years. And is it a good cocktail? Like, what makes it so great? It's a margarita. It was an interesting margarita. Everyone loves margarita. But it had, the garnish was a buzz button. Have either of you ever had a buzz button before?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Usually I can tell in people's eyes.
Yeah, it's that little thing that tingles your tongue and alters the way you perceive flavors, right?
Correct. Yeah. It's a flour that's a natural alkaloid that speeds up your salivary glands and turns you into an ephemeral kind of super taster of sorts. And super taster being a real thing of people that have more densely packed taste buds than others. So they taste at a higher intensity. So you eat this little flour, your tongue starts tingling, and it's just such an interesting sensation. Like, they call it nature's pop rocks, but it's really different. You know, pop rocks are topical, right? This is your salivary glands. This feels like it's in your tongue, going wild, tingling. And it's just such an unreal experience and very unique and different. So people really loved it. And this was before, you know, Instagram and those kind of TikTok and all that kind of stuff. It was just this really big open secret that people loved. During the pandemic, Las Vegas closed down for a little bit, which was, you know, unheard of and unreal. And then I had all this energy, right, in me, and creative energy. And so I started studying that flour, and I saw that no one had really done anything besides serve it fresh. So I created a process to make it shelf stable. My husband and I, we wrote and filed our own patent, so we're patent pending on the process. So I made it into electric dust, which is my company now. It's this powder. And so I took it and did different flavors. So the flavors are basically synergistic properties to what's going on in your tongue. There's citrus, there's ginger. It's piquing all of your salivary glands. Your tongue is tingling. And then again, multi-sensory experience. It's beautiful, it's colored, and there's a little bit of iridescence. I always joke that if you've been in my orbit for more than 30 seconds, you're probably covered in a little bit of glitter, which I don't think is a bad thing. But yeah, so with electric dust, we've been really fortunate. We worldwide sales. And then from there, the buzz button has kind of become my thing that people associate with me. So I do a lot of custom products. My biggest custom client, I can't name because I'm not a strategic marketing partner, but they're big theme parks where I do custom products for them. And that's been really just full circle, cool experience, really exciting. But we're on cruise ships. So next time, Greg, you're on your cruise ship, grab some electric dust. But that's been just a really fun project that keeps me really busy. And I'm looking forward to hopefully a really good next spring with some national chains and non-alcoholic and some big projects.
Yeah, well, this was a thing. I wasn't even expecting this when it arrived here, when you sent this to me. And I opened up the package. Here, I can show it to the folks who are watching on YouTube. Yeah, you open it up. It comes in this really nice like box, and then you open it up, and it's like the stuff that like Dumbledore left in his will. It's like you got some rock candy. I've got like what looks like a tea strainer, an aromatizer, and I'm just kind of, I had a moment where I'm like, what am I looking at? And that's kind of, I think, part of the fun adventure of it is just sort of like I didn't open any of it. It's kind of I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit afraid to. I'm like, I don't know what some of this stuff is, and I don't want to like put an entire packet of this into like a cup of tea and then be drinking it and see the warning label. It's like recommended 1/4 teaspoon per gallon. So I'm excited to try this out. This is pretty cool. Do you send these little boxes around is this like available for people online to buy or something like that?
I do. We sell it online. It's electricdust.shop. And those are all of the accessories that kind of we sell as well. So electric dust is a really fine powder. And originally I designed it for the rim of a cocktail. So think about, and you should taste one of your pops. I'd love to see it in your eyes.
Okay, yeah, let's try it right now.
Yeah, we sell it online, and the little aromatizer actually is to fill with simple syrup. You can fill it with water, citrus juice. And so it's for the perfect application because it is such a weightless product. So basically you grab your glass, you spritz on just a fine amount of simple syrup, and then that's a dusting wand that you put a little bit of your electric dust in, and you dust on the side, and it's going to adhere the perfect rim on your cocktail. And so my venues, we pre-prep before service, 50 glasses, We're going to do this in real time. I can see it. Those are our buzz rocks. We do a lot of those on cruises.
Tart.
It has a lot of citrus in it, and then you're going to feel that kind of like
Tart and tingly.
tingling coming in.
And then a little spice behind that.
And then, so that's our classic blue that I make. And then I also sent you a fire when I was in Macao. I got to taste the Sichuan peppercorn fresh. Like, we don't get it fresh here in the States, we get it dried. Sichuan peppercorn fresh is truly electric, and it's a shared property called spillenthal. So the Sichuan peppercorn and the buzz button both have spillenthal, so that's where you get that tingling from. And they would pair the Sichuan peppercorn with heat. So truly electric. Everybody loves everything spicy these days, right? Our palates have really evolved into loving spice. So I use guajillo chili and ají amarillo chili to flavor that one.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, this thing is tingly and delicious. And it's, as you mentioned, it is activating the salivary glands like crazy.
So if you have any...
I'm about to drool. I feel like I'm about to drool if I...
I know. I was trying to open mine, but I'm like, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe we shouldn't have both hosts of this podcast just kind of like blah, 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 for the last few minutes here. Especially because I did have a kind of serious question I wanted to ask you while I had you here. So Vegas has been, it's been in the news the last few months that there's been a big downturn in a lot of tourism there. A lot of people
in the United States in general.
In the United States in general.
I'm feeling it here in New York, Greg. My numbers are down.
Oh, yeah. I mean, everywhere is feeling it. But I think Vegas, again, because we were talking about because it's such a special beast, I've been seeing a lot of articles and hearing from a lot of people that work there that it's been particularly hard hit. So I wanted to get some maybe on the ground reporting from you, Mariena, on that. But also I'd love to hear if maybe you have any, I don't know, any words of wisdom, any tips, tricks for the other people who are in this city, in this industry with you, who are kind of trying to gut out these weird times along with the rest of us.
I like that you mentioned along with the rest of us, because sometimes clickbait kind of, it's like, oh, it's only Las Vegas. And I feel like tourism is down across the board for many places. And I can't speak for the entire city or even on the behalf of the Wynn for tourism. I can just speak from my personal experience, but like, I'm not feeling it or seeing it. I feel busier than ever. I have amazing festivals, projects. We have Concours, our car show coming up, Formula One. I have an amazing amount of events. We just came off a pretty good summer. We have our nightclubs and day clubs and bars and things. I've just been busier than ever. So I don't really see it. But like you said, probably across the board. And I'm sure some properties are not as insulated as ours. And I like to say that it's because we do such a luxury product. No one's resting on their laurels. Everyone's pushing to give this experience. It's truly worth visiting. So not that other places aren't doing it, but if I had to say, pin it down of where the success is, it would be that.
Yeah, well, I think you just hit the nail on the head. And as a former New Orleanian, I know my friends down there are seeing a downturn in tourism, and it's affecting hospitality, of course. But as you said, you're somewhat insulated, given that I think Greg put it pretty well. The closed loop, you've kind of built your own city, right? So it's like, is tourism down at the Wynn, right? They're still coming. You're a thing within a thing. The Wynn is inside of Las Vegas. I'm glad to hear that you're doing well. I've got some pals out there. I've heard mixed reviews. I got a buddy who left the city altogether and moved back home to New Jersey because things were wonky. But I said during the pandemic, which affected us all as well, people would say we're all in the same boat, and I would say not at all. We're all in the same storm. We've all got our own boats, right? So your boat is just built a little bit more fortified, maybe, and that's great. I'm glad to hear it. Good for you.
This episode brought to you by Carnival Cruises. Carnival Cruises, big boats, impossible to sink single-handedly.
Impossible. Nothing's impossible unless you're a coward.
Well, Mariena, thank you so much for joining us today, for talking us through some of the work that you do, your thought process, what things are like in Vegas, and for this delicious electric dust.
I'm still tingling.
Yeah, like rock candy thing. I am going to try and eat this and then do the outro. So that's going to be fun for all our listeners and probably a disaster for me. But before I do that, are there any Instagrams or anything you want to plug? Where can people follow along in your exploits online?
Oh, yeah, of course. Obviously, Electric Dust. It's just underscore Electric Dust underscore on Instagram. I am Mariena. It's Mariena underscore the underscore Wonderlush. Obviously, Wonderlush is my consulting company, which I don't get as much time these days to do fun things, but I'm not as good at TikTok or those other things. Oh, also, go ahead, Sother.
I was just going to say, I've got this in my hand too, which has Wonderlush written right on it somewhere. This is a passion fruit caipirinha RTD.
That was another one of my passion projects during the pandemic. I partnered with Drifter Spirits and Avoir Cachaça, and so we did a passion fruit caipirinha, and they're all bartender centric. So a few great bartender friends across the country did them their own spin. They have your bio on it and all this stuff, but that's available across the country. It was a really fun kind of like pen pal project where we were sending recipes via the mail to each other to taste, and so super fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm gonna get this in the fridge and crack it open later as soon as my tongue stops tingling. Speaking of tingling tongues,
all right, let's
Greg,
see how
why don't you
this
read
goes.
us out? Yeah.
All right. Well, Mariena, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
And that, this is going to be an adventure. I can feel it. That is going to do it for us this week on the Speakeasy. But if you want more of Damon, Sother, and me, you can always follow us on YouTube. You can observe all of this handsomeness and watch me drool my way through this outro here at youtube.com/@speakeasy.podcast. And if that still doesn't fill the hole in your life where the three of us can only satisfy, you can become a regular on our Patreon, where you will get longer episodes with bonus content, no ads, cocktail recipes from all of our guests, and a free cocktail kit each month from our friends at Shaker and Spoon.
You can get your 40 cocktail recipes from Mariena, because she's got 40 locations.
I'm the one who has to upload these. Don't put that on me.
All right.
We'll do. Although honestly, the one you sent in looks pretty damn good, so you should go and check this out. And while you're there, you can also catch up on Ice Week, which was our cocktail dork answer to Shark Week. It was a whole week of episodes that ran every single day, diving deep into the frigid waters of all things ice. You can become a regular to listen to that. And if you sign up this month, we'll donate that money to No Us Without ULA to support our favorite type of ice, abolished. There we go. We also have our next, thank you for jumping in, Sother, and giving me a chance to clear my throat on these, by the way.
You got it.
We also have our next After Hours Hangout coming up exclusively for our Patreon regulars. That's where Sother and I and Damon, while supplies last, hang out and answer questions and enjoy a drink in real time. That is going to be on Monday, September 29th, the last Monday of the month, and we are taking requests. So let us know in the comment what drink you'd like to see us make. You can listen to us bicker about the specs, and you can drink along. It's like a sing-along, but with booze.
Yeah.
And finally, the next After Dark Confessions is happening at Someday Bar in Brooklyn on September 25th. It's free to come and hear me and my lovely co-host read the filthiest things strangers have done out loud to the entire bar. It's always a good time. We'll see you there. And be sure to tune in next week when our guest is going to be David Page. He is a film and TV producer and he is the mind behind Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. His next project is Culinary Characters Unlocked, which takes you into the lives of some of the most influential chefs and bartenders who ever walked the earth. We will catch you right back here next week for that. And frankly, I thought I did a pretty good job today. So until my mouth stops tingling next time, cheers, everyone.
Cheers, gang.
Cheers.
So you don't charm the devil with your rock and roll, Lord. Knows that country music's gonna save your soul. The devil finds his groove in them rhythm and blues that sound. It's gonna